Alrighty, well, hello. This is just a kind of a quick video of the project for the lithophane on the fish. So this is the picture of the fish that I took, and I lithophane the print of it from makerlab.com. The LED box here and the frame are two different parts that you can print out, and these little brackets just screw the two parts together, so there's four of those. The LED box has this small bezel frame that four screws screw into that to hold this lithophane in place. I have another video showing more detail on the assembly for this and the LED wiring. The LED wiring is connected in parallel. I have a diagram on this. I'm running the 8AA 12 volt going into a buck converter, they call it, which reduces the 12 volt down to 5 volt for the output. These LED strips are 5 volt rated, and these LED strips are not typical, but they have quite a few more LEDs per inch, so you have more available light and shorter light, and they're 5 volt. So 12 down to 5 output. I use the IRLZ 44N MOSFET for the power switching. And the MOSFET has 3 pins: gate, drain, and supply. So going by the wiring schematic that I drew up, your negative is going to the supply, your trigger is going to the gate connected through a 100 ohm resistor, and then there's a 10k ohm resistor going from the gate to ground. The PIR, the positive side, is going to the positive of the 3 LED strips wired in parallel, and the negative from the LED strips is going right to the drain of that MOSFET, and that's the only wire going to this MOSFET on the drain. So when the motion detects motion and it sends the trigger, causes the MOSFET gate to open and completes the circuit. And you can adjust the timing of the sensor here. This will be the duration of on time, and this will be the sensitivity. Like I say, I use 100 ohm resistors on the gate and 10,000 ohm 10k on the gate to negative. And like I say, there's 4 mounting brackets that mounts the LED part of the box to the frame. I do recommend printing the LED box part out of black so it doesn't bleed light, because if you do a lighter color like yellow, it will bleed light out of the box, and if you're printing at 15% on the frame, it's going to bleed right through. So it's not going to give you the look that you're probably wanting to achieve. So black maintains light without it absorbing through. So I've completed this circuit, so here's the PIR, and the orange wire is the trigger, and that orange wire goes to the gate through that 100 ohm resistor. And here's the 10K ohm resistor going from the gate, and it goes to ground. And then the supply here is going to the negative on the buck converter. And that's how that gets wired up. I use double back 3M tape on the 3D printed holder for the PCB board, and a holder for the buck converter on that. So the last thing I need to do is have the backing plate. It just goes on there. I use the 4x3/8 flathead Phillips screws. Final assembly. Okay, and then the little screw there. If your printing has some warpage, it'll flatten it out. Okay, so this is very sensitive when you adjust here for your timing of duration. So just a little bit of turn goes a long ways on this. I've already adjusted this for about a 5-second time on, but I would use a flat headed screwdriver to get in there, and you just turn that. Turning to the right will leave the time on sequence longer. Turning to the left, shorter time on. Turning to the right here, more sensitivity. So it picks up more movement. And then this little cap. Like that. Okay, so, alright, well, let's try it out. Dim the lights. I think it takes about a minute for the motion detection to reset. So I have that duration on pretty short. You can make it longer. There we go. Lights up pretty good. And like I said, I use the MOSFET for the power delivery to the LED. The PIR wouldn't deliver enough power alone through its circuit to drive the LEDs, so. And it sits up like that, or you can hang it on the wall. Okay, so I also have added bonus, right? You could do an outside frame if you want to change the look. You could 3D print a different color and just glue that right on, like so. So I'm going to do that now. Pretty much going to go just centered with some super glue. You know, and you could use acrylic paints. You could paint it any color. Other than your 3D print color. And I've done that before. But if you don't want to paint, then just 3D print. Okay, so that should hold it for sure. And just lay that down. And I'm going to clamp it. Center it. Clamp it for a little while. This won't take long. It'll hold pretty quickly. Okay, that looks pretty good there. Okay, so there you go. You could do, if you have a laser, you could laser some trim wood. And I did that on this one. So the same idea, I just lasered, this was a bird that I had taken a picture of. More of a portrait assembly on that. Alright. There we have it. All right, thank you for watching.